Welcome to the FanDuel Hurry Up. I'm Ariel Epstein. Joining the show today is Ryan Williams. We're going to talk about where Julio Jones, the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, could potentially be going. I love that FanDuel gives us this option, Ryan.
Yes, I love it too. And what better way, to kind of kick things off than with a Julio landing spot. It's this is great. He's got so many different destinations that he could land up in, but I got three that I think are going to have the people talking.
You can only bet this in Colorado. I do like where you're going first, Ryan. You like the Baltimore Ravens. This was one of the teams that had the most movement overnight, with the Ravens going from 12-1 to take Julio Jones to now 5-1 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Why is Julio Jones a fit for the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, Julio being there in Baltimore, listen, he talked about wanting to play for a winner, right? And let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens, who are basically, just a couple years removed from, being in big games. And everything's been made about Lamar and the passing ability, and it's time to give this guy some respect here. They're doing everything to kind of build the offense around him and give him weapons by taking Rashad Bateman in the first round, bringing in Sammy Watkins, and what better way than to add a guy like Julio Jones here to the mix. And you talk about a team here with the Baltimore Ravens and having Mark Andrews too. And you're like, well, that's not great from a fantasy perspective. Okay, but we're just talking about where Julio's likely to land. And you're talking about a winner here. The Baltimore Ravens already have pretty decent odds, plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl. I think that will only go up if Julio Jones were to join this team. Now, they are a little bit restricted by the cap. They could probably try and maneuver some things around. Just brought in Sammy Watkins. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they make some moves for some guys to relieve some of that salary. But when you're talking about only a second round pick, basically, that it will take to get a guy of this caliber, I think definitely the Baltimore Ravens are in the mix, as they're in a win now mode.
I would be a very happy person if Julio Jones goes to the Baltimore Ravens. You see the helmet behind me. This Ravens team also had the least receiving yards per game, averaging 182. They need to get that up in order to win a Super Bowl. The next team that you like, the Arizona Cardinals, plus 850 to get Julio Jones. Why do you see Arizona taking another top-notch receiver on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, exactly, Ariel. If we're talking about it's only taking a second round pick to get a guy of Julio's caliber, let's not look too far than when they made the move to get DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans. They're not new to this. They want to win as well, too. And you're looking at the NFC West. This is a tough division there, with teams getting better. Obviously, the San Francisco 49ers are one of the other favorites to land Julio as well, as they're in win now mode, and they just invested in a top tier quarterback there earlier on in the draft, so they're ready to win. You got Russell there in Seattle, so the Cardinals definitely need to make a big splash. They do have DeAndre Hopkins, but really, when you're looking at the wide receiver corps outside of him, there's not much to balk at, and on Kyler Murray's on his rookie deal still. They want to try and win now. They have an aggressive GM, and look at this defense. They're trying to get better, bringing in a guy like J.J. Watt, bringing in or getting Chandler Jones back healthy now. I think that him landing here at Arizona is definitely going to put them in the mix. And you're talking about their odds plus 4,400 to win the Super Bowl. I believe, just they're still high odds to win the NFC. So if they get a guy of Julio's caliber, I really do like their chances at success.
The Cardinals to win the division could also be intriguing. This is one of the toughest divisions in the West in the NFL. If you get another wide receiver, a number one caliber wide receiver on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins, that would be very dangerous with the quarterback Kyler Murray, maybe even MVP too. Final landing spot you have for Julio Jones, the Indianapolis Colts at plus 950. These are your longest odds for Julio Jones landing spot. Why is Indianapolis a fit?
They're the longest odds, but they're also, this is my favorite destination for Julio to end up in. Now, we got a couple of things that are at play here. We're talking about an AFC team in the Colts. He's outside of the NFC division. I think that the Falcons have every incentive to keep him out of the NFC. So when you're looking at the Colts here, I think that's a prime spot. Then you're looking at them being aggressive. They brought in Carson Wentz in the offseason. They brought in DeForest Buckner on the defensive side. So we know GM Ballard, that he loves to spend money. And when we're talking about what Julio Jones is going to mean going to another team. He's guaranteed $15 million on the books in 2021. The cap space is very nice for Indy, and they're going to bring in an alpha wide receiver there to kind of help things out. They brought back T.Y. Hilton. They have Michael Pittman, getting Paris Campbell back off of injury, but nothing like what Julio can offer. And when we're looking at the situation there in that division, I mean, the Colts, how do they not become the favorite to win that division, get into the playoffs just by making that one move? So I definitely like that. And you're looking at Carson Wentz there. And I know people aren't maybe buying into the hype train. We got social videos of Carson Wentz throwing it to Jonathan Taylor and company. But when we're looking at his MVP season in 2017, Alshon Jeffrey in fantasy was wide receiver 15. Nelson Aguilar, wide receiver 22. So by adding a guy like Julio Jones, it's wheels up for this offense in 2021.
You mentioned it there, Colts bringing back their veteran wide receiver, T.Y. Hilton. You have to wonder in Indy, how many games is Hilton going to play? Is he going to stay healthy? Is that hamstring going to hurt him? At least if you have Julio Jones back there, you could feel confident you still have your number one wide receiver in the mix. That's Ryan Williams. I'm Ariel Epstein. Thank you for joining us here on the FanDuel Hurry Up. Make sure to keep a look on the FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you're in Colorado, have fun betting those lines for where Julio Jones is going to land next.